Hello everybody, Happy New Year and welcome to the first CrossFit Games update show of 2016. I am Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez and Pat Sherwood. Believe it or not, we're getting ready to start this thing up again, and of course it all begins with the Open, and the great thing about this is we are all in the Open together.
We're all in this together. If you're a veteran, you're probably shocked at just how quickly this time of year came around again. If you're new to the sport, welcome aboard. Step one here in finding the fittest on earth.
And this is such an exciting time for all of us personally, but where else, in what other sport can you compete alongside a quarter million other people? And even for the average guys like us, our open ranking, we're sitting around the affiliate talking around the water cooler, is the gold standard as to where our fitness is each year, so it's huge.
Now, the Open has been around since 2011, and recently Pat caught up with Greg Glassman, and Coach said the Open is all about the affiliates.
This community loves to work out and loves to do things together, and each box in the tribe that forms that box has a powerful relationship together. They work together, and this is that time of year where they not only rank themselves amongst each other, but they kind of look globally to see where they stand, and it's all really exciting. I mean, I've got in-laws at the very year they started CrossFit and this is male and female, right? Mm-hmm. Masters, separated by 5 or 6 years, so not even in the same age category, but they're in a life or death struggle for that global ranking.
Of course.
And at the end, they ended up, I think it was 125th and 141st in the world in their respective age groups and for their genders, and it had resolute and powerful significance in the house. You know, there was a crowning that day.
I think for me, one of the coolest things about the Open is that there is nothing else like this in any other sport in the world.
And through the affiliates, it's your portal to become amazing, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of, everyone has a friend, that are like, oh, my God, Bobby's such a great football player. If he had the chance, he'd be in the league. Just didn't get the chance. Well, with the Open, I mean, this is your chance. Talk about a low barrier to entry. You need $20, which is about 3 drinks at Starbucks, and an internet connection, and you can compete and be the next Rich Froning or David Stoddard. It all starts right now, and race, creed, color, nothing matters. Come on.
Yeah. And each year, tons of people take advantage of that low entry barrier. Since the Open started in 2011, 16 different athletes have finished in the top 10 of the Open worldwide and then gone on to finish top 5 or top 3 at regionals, depending on the barrier, and gone on to qualify as a rookie for the very first time. So if you want to find some up-and-comers in this sport, look no further than the very top of the Open leaderboard.
And some household names have shown up during the Open. And you go back to just this past year, Sarah Sigmundsdottir was not someone people knew a lot about, and then we saw her performance in the Open. She finishes 3rd at the Games. What about Matt Fraser in 2014? 2nd place at the Games. Sandra Pacelli showed up on our radar in 2013 during the Open. And then the very first year of the Open, a young man by the name of Josh Bridges,
I remember
who is
that
now
guy.
a household name as well. One cool thing that we're going to do again this year is that maybe you're not a regionals athlete, and maybe you don't have any designs on doing that, but you can still be crowned the fittest person in your state and your country maybe as well.
Yeah, and for the data nerd kind of like myself, this is just another data set for us to kind of geek out and see how we stack up against our peers. And the other side of that, we have so many people in the community now that have built this amazing level of fitness, just pouring themselves into their training day in, day out. And this as an opportunity to provide them some recognition, I'm 100% for it.
Just more things to chase. Whenever you dangle some sort of carrot in front of somebody, your level of effort put forth is greater, and we've got a whole bunch of different ways to motivate people this year.
And we caught up with a young man who last year didn't get to go to regionals, but was still crowned the fittest man in Arkansas. That's Jacob Carreri. And he said even though he didn't get to move on after the Open, being crowned the fittest man in his state was still a tremendous honor.
As far as when the Open concluded, to get awarded that just goes to show, as many other facets, and I always tell my members this, is that there are many reasons to do the Open, and not just to go to regionals or the next stages, but to just better yourself. So you finish up and are rewarded with something such as that, which was just quite an honor. And you end up getting to represent your state. So a lot of folks from Arkansas have reached out and just been like, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. Keep it up. We love it. Representing us well. And it's just really fun to get the community as far as the state involved.
That full interview with Jacob will be posted on the game site later, but I don't care if you go to the games or not, or regionals or not. If you're crowned the fittest person in your state, you're a hell of an athlete.
Yeah, and I mean, now maybe he's feeling a little bit of that pressure, talking about him on the show, maybe becoming that household name, and he knows what kept him from regionals last year was 15.3. He told me he's already retested it, showed improvement. This kid's only 21 years old, so he's got a lot of competing ahead of him.
So we're keeping the fittest in concept this year. Another thing that we are adding for 2016 is that if you're a law enforcement officer, a member of the military, or a firefighter, when you register, you can indicate that, and as a result, you'll be able to compare yourself with your peers. And we talked with Larry Moss, he's a corporal with the Lake Charles Police Department, about that. Also helps us out at the CrossFit Games as a floor announcer. And he says finally having this category means a lot to him and his fellow officers.
At least I speak for myself and the guys that we talk to. You know there's other law enforcement officers out there, but you may not know who they are, and you don't really know who in your age bracket or who in your particular line of work, how you're going to stack up against them unless you know them personally. And this new feature in the Open gives us an option to check out our counterparts worldwide and see how, I myself as a police officer stack up against some guy, halfway across the world.
That full interview with Larry will be up on the game site soon. One other thing he said, and I love this, is that there's a lot of trash talking that goes on in his department. If you don't sign up, you don't get to talk trash, and that's one of the best things about the Open.
Well, there's just good trash talking in general. I mean, you're talking fire departments versus police departments. As a former military member, like Army versus Navy, there's just this inherent trash talking. I'm here to tell you, very excited about this, and the fittest military member better darn well be from the Navy or heads are going to roll. So to be determined.
And hopefully a good byproduct of all this trash talking and friendly competition is it's going to make these people fitter. They're going to push harder. They're going to see the results in the gym. And the nature of those professions is very competitive because of the stakes that they have to play for every time they suit up. So I think just adding this is only going to heighten them and their fitness and how they perform. Yeah.
And talking trash could get you recognized here on the Update Show. That was the case with 3 guys last year who really took this to a whole new level. It was Mitch Barnard, Brent Fikowski, and Joe Scally. Scally ended up making it to the games, but each week of the Open, whoever lost had to go through some punishment. I mean, they had trance stamps and they had getting pelted with water balloons. I mean, it was a blast to watch this go down. So you do something crazy like that, you might wind up on the show.
Their sarcasm was as good as their fitness.
It was outstanding. You had that customized leaderboard, so if you're not like a great competitor, you can still find people with whom you can compete. I know you guys have some people that maybe not intentionally you're on the radar, but who are you competing with this Open, Tommy?
I think this year I'm going to make a turn from last year. I'll still compete with the boys in the office for sure, but I think I'm going to make my own custom leaderboard of every Masters female champion from last year. And my goal is to beat at least one of them
goal
on a workout. Yeah. No, I'm actually serious.
That is, and I'm not kidding. That is a good goal.
Join the leaderboard, my friend.
That is impressive, man. For me personally, I'm going to compete with all the Marquezes in the world just to make sure I'm carrying on the family name correctly. Then I have Heber Cannon, Marston Sawyers, Julian Marquez, 3 guys that we trained with at the office. Julian doesn't work for us anymore, still trains. I just like to beat him every once in a while. And the kicker here this year is Dustin Tovar, the husband of CrossFit Games athlete Stacy Tovar. Came to our attention last year that Dustin had his own private leaderboard against all the HQ fellas that he was purposely
and didn't tell you
shooting for every year, and then he started putting it on Twitter once he was ahead of us.
So passive aggressive.
He's got the target on him this year.
One thing that started as a friendly competition that we have all watched play out over the past couple of years is Roe versus Boz. And we're doing that again this year in 2016 for, I believe it's the 6th time now. But it's gone to new heights this year. I mean, this thing got serious. Yesterday there was a press conference, there was a contract signing, there were hype men, there was trash talking. I mean, there was almost an altercation. Tommy, you were there. I mean, this is serious business in 2016.
It is serious, Sean, and I actually have here the freshly signed contract making it official, the 6th year of Roe versus Boz. And
that looks legit.
Explain some of the stipulations here. Repeats are allowed, but the score on the floor at the Open announcement is the one that counts. The loser is going to make a donation to a charity of $250 to the winner's charity of choice, which is cool. So you can see some benefit of this. Scaling, and I don't think Boz read this contract. If any reason Boz has to scale a workout, he will be immediately DQ'd.
Just Boz, though.
Just Boz, though.
I like that contract.
But here's the kicker.
Boz needs a better agent.
Yeah, he does. And here's the kicker, and this is what's really cool. This year, the community has an opportunity to get involved. So each week, we have a theme of sorts for the Open announcement. And each week, Boz and Roe each will pick a person from the community that fits this theme, and they'll get to compete right alongside these
All right.
guys at home or at the gym, wherever they train, and they'll have an opportunity to influence the outcome of the competition.
Who do you like in Roe versus Boz? I know it's still early, we still got some time, but right now, if you had to pick, who's winning?
Oh, I never turned down the opportunity to enrage one of my friends. So let's see. Between Roe and Boz, I've got to go with Adrian Bosman.
Ooh.
I mean, he's openly Canadian. You know, they're mysterious people to begin with. And he's so fiercely competitive, he can turn a friendly competition into just a hateful match of spite. And I think that is going to just give him a slight advantage.
Well, you know, I'm going to have to go with some big guy solidarity.
There you go.
I'm going to go with the Texas gunslinger, Rory McKernan. I think he's got more to prove. You know, he lost last year, but he leads the overall series 3-2. You know, he's been training hard. I've been seeing him in the gym sneaking in some extra bicep curls just to give himself a pump, so I think that's going to pay off.
Hope it does.
It's only a few weeks away. It's going to be a blast. You got to register. Remember, if you don't sign up, you can't talk trash. That interview that we showed you with Greg Glassman, that's going to be shown in its entirety on the game site soon. Last year, we had 272,000 people plus. Trying to get more than that this year. Let's get to the 300K mark. That's it for us. We'll see you guys during 16.1 when we start talking about that. For Pat Sherwood and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Put the finishing touches on your fitness.